Buddy. Hi, this is Audrey from Real Food Comes Dirty. And I realized last week I had a few difficulties with the chat. I think that is going to be taken care of today. So I'm just going to hang out here a little bit and see if anybody's available. If you could just say where you're from in the chat, that would be great. Hi, Sharon. I think what we're going to be doing today is I want to get to some of the questions that I was given last week. And like I said, I had some problems with the chat, so I didn't see them all. But I am going to answer a few more preserving questions. I have a few more thoughts on that. And then we're going to talk about, I got a seed bundle from one of my favorite seed companies, and going to reveal kind of what was in that. It was an amazing deal. And talk a little bit about this change of seasons that we're in. Hi, Urban White Buffalo. Remind me of your first name, sir. I know I knew it at one point. Graham, good to see you. Jean, Amelia. Okay, so we've got some UK. Love my UK garden friends. Yeah, so why don't we start? Hi, Stephen. Thank you. I will make a note of that. Thank you. So I want to just quickly answer a few questions that came up last week when we talked about preserving. And one of them was from you, Graham, and it was, do I use red or blue grow lights, and you use full spectrum? I too use full spectrum. So that's what I do. The next question, which was a great question posed by JB, and it's, what are the dangers of using oil when you're preserving food? And here's essentially, and we had an accident with this just this year. My husband was helping me process some of our tomatoes into our favorite tomato. Hi, Rob. Good to see you. Into our favorite tomato sauce. It's a roasted tomato sauce that's fabulous. And he follows the recipe. I know how to make substitutions for when I'm canning it. So he did it with the full amount of oil that was needed. And I would say over half our jars would not seal properly, because that's really one of the problems when you have oil in your canning jars, whether you're pressure canning or just water bath canning. It interferes with the seal. It also can go rancid when it's in, even if it's canned and the seal works, the oils can go rancid. So it's better if you have to do, if the recipe really calls for oil to be added, make a note on your canning jar that you just need to add that when you open it, and you'll be so much safer and so much happier with your results. But yeah, don't use any kind of oil in your canning. And Amanda Jane Jones asked, can I put dehydrated things in oil to flavor it? Well, of course you can. Absolutely. Because what is going to maybe rehydrate it? Well, I don't know if it will rehydrate, because I've made hot pepper oil just putting in some of my hot pepper flakes. And I'm not sure the flakes rehydrate, but they sure do flavor that oil. And then, so yes, you can do that. And Do I have any favorite recipes? Wow, that's a loaded question. Yes, I do. And one of them is this roasted tomato sauce that I was talking about. And I'm going to be adding that uh, to my website under the recipe section. And I'll have some of my favorite preserving recipes put there as well, so that that can just be a resource for you to use. Now, behind me on this shelf up here is a Ball. It's like the Ball Complete canning book. And I got to tell you, if you're new to canning or not sure, this is one of the best reference books uh, you'll get. And I think as a new canner, always make sure that you're following recipes because some are so well tested that they know shelf life, they know it's appropriate acid, they know, until you get a feel for what you can do and what you can't do, I say stick to a recipe. And I think Ball is one of the best resources that you can get. And one, I wanted to talk also just a minute about safety when you're pressure canning. Uh, and someone told me they had a pressure canner, but were scared to use it. And I just thought, oh, don't be scared, but be really wise when you're using pressure canners. Um, make sure there's always in most pressure canners there's a seal on the lid. Make sure the seal that fits in the lid is still flexible. It hasn't cracked. It's not, because you can buy replacement seals. Make sure your venting system is working properly. And that usually happens as your canner ages, like everything. Sometimes things don't work as well. So you just want to be wise, but don't be scared of it. And follow directions kind of to the T. Water bath canning, you have a little more, if you're not using an official water bath canner, you can use a pot with a lid. There's a little more wiggle room than when you're pressure canning. So again, and if you are new to pressure canning, make sure that you do a little research before you start. And if anybody has any questions, current questions, feel free to. Amelia's saying I'm going to have a go at the chives and oil. I put out it's a Vietnamese, it's usually made with scallions. It's like a condiment that they use, but I've seen it done with garlic chives, and I grow a lot of garlic chives, so it's incredibly good. And I can't tell you how many things it goes on very well. The reason I used avocado oil, Amelia, is its high smoke point. Olive oil may not get as hot or without smoking, but there are other oils. I think safflower can get hot. I just used avocado because it's a neutral flavor and I can get it really warm. But yes, there are other, definitely other oils that you could use. Okay, here's a little show and tell today. This was one of the gingers that I pulled up today. It's beautiful. I wish you could smell it because there's nothing like homegrown ginger. And at this point, the stalks are usable as well. So you don't just have to go with the beautiful bulbs at the bottom, but everything on this plant is edible. So I'm going to try cutting up the stalks and processing them and see what, for tea, the stalks might just be wonderful. So I'm going to try my hand at these and see what I get. So I will let you know if that works or not, but I can't imagine it won't. So, how is everybody doing today? I know we're in that in between stage. We're kind of leaving summer, and we're entering very quickly into fall. So, I'm watching the weather like all the time just to see how we're going to have a low tonight that's quite low, uh, but not low enough that I have to worry. I'm trying to keep some of my squash out there as long as I possibly can. Some of my peppers, because they're coming, but they're not as mature as I'd like. So I'm trying to, take it right up until the ragged edge, uh, to see how that will be. Now I ordered a grab bag of seeds, which is one of the things that I am not short on in my life. However, this was from one of my favorite seed companies, True Leaf Market, and this was a 40, 40 packets of seeds for $30. And I thought, at worst case, I will give them away. So I think that's just a great deal. So I got these and thought I might go through some of them with you live. Now, here's the thing I found out when I opened the packet this morning, just to kind of not organize them, but get them a little easier for me to do here on camera. There are no pictures on the seeds. So it's more a list of what's available, uh, which is not nearly as exciting as showing pictures of what's available. But, you got, so I'm going to read just some of what I got. And I've only looked at a few of these. So we got red Russian kale, which is, that's a staple for me. Paris Cos romaine, some Wakefield cabbage, sugar baby watermelons, which are wonderful. Little Fingers carrot, lacinato kale, zucchini, black beauty, uh, a golden bantam corn. Never grown that one. Little more black beauty, small sugar pumpkins. The point of this uh, conglomeration of seeds was really for anybody to be able to start a garden. And I thought, what a great idea. For $30, you get everything you need to grow. So anyway, I'm sorry there's no pictures. I would have pulled this out a little bit longer had there been pictures. So if you're in the States, True Leaf Market is a great resource for seeds. Searching for options for green tomatoes. This is Angela Mulder. Well, I know that there are chutneys that you can make with green tomatoes. I have made salsa verde from green tomatoes instead of tomatillos. Little bit different texture, but it's a great use of green tomatoes. I think fried green tomatoes are kind of a classic. And what else would I use green tomatoes in? I wonder if any of them might ripen still. Sometime, because I cleared out my determinate plants a couple of weeks ago, and I picked a tremendous amount of green tomatoes off, and all but one ended up ripening. So you might be surprised at how many you get if you just let them give a chance. Yes, I've seen a cake. Amelia's talking about a cake. I've also seen a green tomato pie. Um, I've never made those. I just make fried green tomatoes, or I use it in a salsa verde. Um, yeah. Okay, so I do just want to talk about this change of season that we're in, because I think we're all doing the watch and beware of when our first frost comes, and the things that um, might not survive. But I find there's a whole lot that actually will survive. Uh, my kale is doing quite well. No, I have a very severe winter here. It's not like a UK winter, which is much milder. We get down to like single digits here, so a lot won't survive, but I've been shocked to see that many times my kale does, but it comes back and bolts really quickly. So I'm leaving um, my kale in one of my green stock vertical planters and see how uh, it does. So I'm leaving that out. I'm not going to even try to protect it. I kind of want to see what it's going to do this year. So I guess I just want to encourage everyone that, we're all playing this frost waiting game, this first freeze waiting game, and trying to let things go as long as we can while protecting our harvest. And I also say, be gentle on yourselves. Sometimes I think we almost get competitive, at least I do. And it's not about that. If you lose some things because you didn't get them in, that's okay. Um, that's okay. There's next year. This isn't just the end to this growing season. This is uh, the beginning of the next. So I look at this as, as all seasons, they got to come and go. But there's a new season coming. And this is a great time for us to really evaluate what has happened this year. I know a lot of us dealt with a lot of weather variations. So something to consider, because you don't know what next year brings. So maybe you learn some options for what you can do when your weather is not what you're used to. Or you found resources that you can reach out to and ask questions about, what do I do if I'm in a drought and uh, I don't have access to water, because sometimes we get water bans when it's very hot. So what are some of my options? And what have you learned this year? And I'm going to say, write that down. And maybe that can be applied to this coming growing season in ways that you didn't expect. Graham, I think I know how to do this, Graham. Let me see if I can. Wait a minute. There's a way to do this. Yeah, okay. I missed. Maybe this is it. Wait a minute. There we go. Look at me. I am getting good at this. Okay, Graham is asking, how would you prep your green tomatoes to fry them? I'm interested, as I've never done them before. I have done it where I slice my tomatoes as you would for like a sandwich, and then I soak them in buttermilk. I then put them in a seasoned mix of more cornmeal than flour, but cornmeal, flour, and some seasoning. And you kind of pat the buttermilk off, and then bread them, and then fry them. They're very good. I also know it's a Southern delicacy. I mean, I live in Detroit, so I've learned some of these things from some people who were from the South. But if you check some of the, actually, I would Google green tomatoes or frying green tomatoes, and you will probably find more recipes because I have a feeling this is like a lot of the really good Southern dishes is families kind of have their own way to do it. Eric, you grow up doing it one way and 10 other people have done it another. So, um, yeah, experiment. I think they're great. And it's a new, if you haven't done it before, it's a whole new thing. So I say, Graham, go for it. Let's see. Okay, Amanda is, my thing is right in. I've got a logo thing, and it's right in front of where this is. Oh, I've made a green tomato pasta sauce. Never, I've never heard of that. Uh, that could be because there's a whole different flavor to a green tomato than a red tomato. So I think that might be kind of good. Now, are any of you have any of you put your garlic in yet? Because we're kind of at that time of the year where garlic is starting to go in. Um, I received some tulip bulbs recently, and those are going to go in this coming week. Um, and I just have to figure out how to make sure that those lovely squirrels that are my nemesis, they love to dig the bulbs up, chomp on them a little, and then just leave them. So I'm thinking about planting them, putting some chicken wire over the top, and then filling in over, then filling the dirt back in. So that might just make it a little more difficult for them. Uh, but yeah, I somehow wish squirrels were not uh, as prevalent around here as they are. Okay, so we've got some folks waiting for their seed garlic to arrive. But isn't it fun when you get a package like that? I honestly, I still get a little giddy when the mail comes in and my husband picks up the mail on his way in and he's shaking it and I can tell it's seeds. I still get incredibly excited about that because I know what is the there's hope when we plant seeds, right? We're hoping for tomorrow. We're hoping for a wonderful harvest, and we just enjoy the magic of growing things. I never get tired. I'm gonna be starting my indoor growing, and this is actually I grow lettuces. I'm gonna try to grow some small root crops like maybe those little baby turnips, some radishes, some other things that I might be able to grow here in the house and enjoy them in the middle of the cold, dark winter because it's still fun to grow things, even if they're not things for outside. And I also on when we were on Potty Mouth on Monday. I don't know if you are watchers of that. That's a really fun show. We were talking about cucumbers. And so I think I'm going to try growing some cucumbers inside the house this winter. If it works, great. If it doesn't, I learned something. So, uh, yeah, I'm going to see if that will work because I'm thinking if I'm growing lettuces and kales and other Asian greens in the house, why not? Why not some cucumber? So I'm going to give that a try. Um, oh no, you do it opposite of me, Stephen. And that does make great sense that you put the flower on first, and then you bread them again. Okay. Well, that makes sense because when we put flour as our first step when we bread anything, your next ingredient is going to stick more, and your final breading is going to stay on more. I will have to try that. Um, oh, so we have some potty mouth fans here. I love it. Yeah, isn't Tony? Tony is he's a character. He is a lovely character. Um, yes, but he's definitely a character. Uh, yeah, was I not on last week? Maybe I wasn't. We just keep mixing things up. So, oh, hi, Steve. Steve is here from Green Side Up, also a fellow potty mouther. Thank you for being here. So, what are we on to now? We were talking about change of season. And again, uh, so many of you can grow, if you're in the UK, can grow pretty much through the year outdoors. But even you have to adjust what and how you grow it uh, at this point. So I know I've said before, it's not just the end of a year, it's the beginning of the new one. But you also need to figure out what kind of timing. Excuse me, somebody just came in my house. Uh, okay, okay. Sorry, hubby just came home. Um, it just took me a little bit off my train of thought. 1 second. Okay, so as we move towards this new year, start to really think, what do I want to grow this coming year? Do I want to try new varieties? I think I've mentioned before, I'm going to try to not do new varieties. I don't know that I will be able to muster up that kind of control since I just got 40 packets of seeds here. Uh, but I wonder if I did more concentrated efforts on certain varieties, if my garden might look different. So I'm going to give it a shot. Whether or not I will be able to, I don't know. I also want to make sure that I'm better at planting in sequence. Like I start something, start some lettuce. I start more lettuce 3 or 4 weeks later. I start more lettuce 3 or 4 weeks after that, so that my harvests are. I don't get everything all at once. I get a big glut of lettuce at once. I get enough to enjoy, and then there's more on the way. So I don't know how many of you are successful with that. It sure does take a lot more intentional planning. Um, I know one of the ways that Steve at Green Side Up does it, he just keeps starting things. And I did see, actually, this was a great tip that I saw from him. He started them in a garden bed. I think it's one of his seeding beds. And he set up areas or set up tags that he started one week. He started more of it the next week. He started more of it so that he had a longer harvest. And that to me was a more simple but doable way to get that done. So I do want to try that. What have you guys learned, or what have you discovered this year in your gardening that you want to implement in your garden next year? Any thoughts on what I did? Like I said, I harvested my ginger today, and I learned that I did not have irrigation to it, so some of it was beautiful and some of it was quite small. So I'm going to have to readjust a bit of my irrigation to take care of that. Because if you've never grown ginger, it almost takes care of itself, and it is a lovely harvest. So I would encourage you to do some of that. Okay, so some of you have your garlic in. I'm getting mine in this coming week. What else do we need to be thinking about here as we're heading more towards winter? I'm thinking a lot about prepping my beds for next year because I don't have the luxury of being able to grow outdoors. So I'm thinking about ways to prepare my bed for what's going to be growing in it the following year. I did plant in the bed that I'm going to dedicate to lettuce next year. I planted a lot of beans so that I can cut the roots off, leave the roots in the ground to get that nitrogen from the roots into the ground, make it viable, so that I can have a really nice crop of lettuce, which of course enjoys good nitrogen fertilizer. So yeah, that's great. Okay, Graham is saying, here, I think I can even show it. Look at that. I have grown lemongrass. Yes. It's very easy to grow. It's very ornamental. And I don't know how, like, flower pots, you know, how you can sometimes go to nurseries and get flower pots that are already planted. And a lot of times they have like a green grassy thing in the center, which gives you your height. I tend to use lemongrass for that because it's very pretty, very ornamental, and yet really like lemongrass. Lemongrass is going to want some heat because, again, it's more of a tropical plant to begin with. But it's very simple to grow. And yeah, you should have good success with that. Okay, does anybody have any concerns with winter coming that they'd like to think about or talk about? Stephen plants his garlic coming up here pretty soon. And he adds compost. Okay, wait, I'm going to pull this one up because I can't see. There we go. I do garlic usually between October 15 and 25th. I will add the manure and fresh compost today and plant in a few days. Okay, that was where I misunderstood. Then cover the garlic with straw. Perfect. Mulch it, feed it, mulch it, tuck it in for the winter. Thank you, Stephen. That's great. There we go. Okay, so what is one thing that you are hoping to grow next year that maybe you haven't grown yet? Is anybody thinking about that? Because I think some of the fun of gardening is trying new things. So like this year, for the first time, I planted eucalyptus. It grew beautifully. It's an annual where I live, but it's beautiful, and the fragrance is amazing. Uh, so I would say, try a few new things. Or have you seen a variety floating around that really makes you, okay, Graham, you're being funny. All right. You only planted 120? That's no amount of garlic to grow. No, I'm cutting myself off at 200 this year. So hopefully that will not be a problem. Okay, this is Phil Hurst. On succession sewing. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's pop this one up. On those 60 cell trays, and sow one every 2 weeks for successional crops. Oh no, that's another great way to do it. That is that well, that really that one talks to me, Philip. That is because I grow everything in those cell trays. So, I like the idea of that. And then you have all of your things together that are sewn at the same time. I think I'm going to steal that one, if you don't mind. Where'd you go? I think I've said before I need to get a blind for this window because I'm here at 2:30 in the afternoon, and the sun is like right there. So sometimes I get a little glare. Borlotti beans. Stephen is saying he'd like to grow Borlotti beans. It's a wonderful idea. Beautiful bean. I grew for the first time, and I haven't harvested them yet. It is noir, cocoa noir. It's like the cocoa de Paimpol bean, but it's a black bean. So I'm very anxious to be harvesting those soon because cocoa de Paimpol is a very, very delicious bean, and I like black beans, but if it tastes like the cocoa in a black, I am very excited for that. Anybody else trying to grow something new this coming year? I've planted blackberries this year, which then I will not uh, enjoy till next year, but that's new for me. I've never had a blackberry bush, so I will enjoy that. And thank you, Philip, for giving me permission to steal that idea because I will. I don't always have the best ideas, but I know which ones to steal. So thank you. Um, someone's growing a loofah. Let me see. Wonder. Blackberries. Well, these are thornless. I We'll see, because I know that in the UK you call them brambles, and that does not seem like um, a complimentary name to give to them. So we'll see. Um, yeah, we'll see if it works out or not. But we're a blackberry family, so wouldn't mind having some of those available. Uh, okay, so we're all kind of on the lookout for some new stuff to grow. Uh, I just find it always always hopeful, always puts a smile on my face. And nobody seems to dislike when I give them my overage. They all seem to like, it's not like you lose friends when you give them some extras from what you're growing. I think it's a great way to serve your friends and make them happy with what you love to do. So, do we have anything else that you guys would like to talk about? I'm trying to think about a couple of the videos that I've recently done to see if there's anything that would be interesting that wasn't in the video. If you've seen the chili or the garlic chive video, or if you haven't, that condiment is so good. And you just kind of strain out the oil, and obviously the oil can be used for something else, but I'm actually thinking about using some of it just to make a salad dressing. Like a little bit of the oil with the garlic chives, throw a little vinegar in there, and I think that will be a spectacular salad dressing. So I'm looking for ways to use that because I love the mild garlic flavor of garlic chives. Yeah, so that was great. Trying to think of any other preserving thing, because I look at that as a way to preserve your chives. Now, I do have my dehydrator right now is packed with parsley, tarragon. I'm letting some regular chives dry just on the countertop because I have not successfully dried a regular chive. They seem to get really brittle, and they almost seem over dried. So I find that I can just use that, just air dry them, and that's fine. I did learn how to make a Native American smudge today, which is when you tie up, and I am not an expert on this, so please forgive me. The Native Americans have four herbs that they hold. I'm not quite sure what the word is, so I don't want to use the wrong word. But they're their herbs that they use to do some of their ceremonies and whatnot. And one of them is called a smudge, and it's typically made from sage. And you use this, you burn this in your home to invite good spirits, good activity, good karma, whatever whatever you'd like to call it, into your home, rather than just chasing away bad spirits. It's to invite the good spirits. So I learned how to make one of those today, and it was pretty cool. So I have 3 of them drying down in my basement right now. That maybe we'll give it a try. Oh, brambles are often the name for the wild ones. I have grown thornless, but find the flavor less than, well, sometimes we can breed the good stuff out when we're trying to breed out the things we don't like, right? I'm so sorry. This I think it's Sharon. Here, I'm going to pull it over because that's the best way to do this. Sharon is asking, I've got some lavender plants, but no idea what I can do with them. Any suggestions? Well, they're beautiful in the landscape. Now, Are these already planted? So you're looking for suggestions on what to do with the lavender or what to do with the plants? Maybe you can clarify that and we'll see if we can't get some answers to that. Okay, Amelia is saying she can't dry chives either, so I freeze them. That's a great idea too. I'm just trying to let them, I'm going to try drying them on my counter. Uh, or maybe I'm resetting this room up as my grow room. So I might even just set them up on one of these shelves here and have a light little fan trying to dry them out or helping them dry out. Okay, now Leanne is saying white sage. It's beautiful for sponging. Okay, this was a whole new this. I was introduced to this just today, and I'm very excited to learn more about that tradition because next month, I believe, here in the States is Native. I think it actually is called Native American Indian Month. I thought it was Indigenous People Month, but I think there is a different name. So anyway, I'm excited to learn all about it because, we live here. I think we kind of should know about it. So okay. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that would work for today. So much of what we're doing right now, and I think we're all in this boat, it's cleaning up the gardens, resetting if you are able to grow in them. If not, maybe you've planted in some cover crops that are going to grow to benefit like I did with the beans, so that next year I have a benefit from the cover crop I've grown. I think it's smart to always be thinking a little bit ahead, but don't make yourself crazy about it. I think Philip's idea for me, that's going to so help my successional growing game that it's so simple, and yet I didn't come up with that one. So, Philip, I thank you so much. That's a great idea. That's a keeper for me. So, I think maybe we've been on here for about 45 minutes. I really enjoy doing these lives. And I'm happy to continue to do them. And I can even have more ideas on what I'd like to talk about. I want to try to make it seasonal so that we're all kind of in the same boat with what we're doing with our gardens. So I thank you all so much for spending your time. I do not take that for granted. I thank you so much that you were here. And I just am enjoying recognizing names. It's interesting how much personality actually comes through in chats after you've seen people several times. So it's kind of fun. And it's very enjoyable. So happy gardening this week. I hope that your plans go well. I hope that your garden continues to bless you, whether it's the middle of July and everything is just rocking and rolling, or it's the end of October and things are slowing down a little bit. So, again, thank you so much. And maybe I'll see you next Thursday. Would that be good? Should we have a Thursday date? Anyway, thank you so much. And I'll talk to you and see you soon. And don't forget Potty Mouth Garden Club next Monday. I'm not on next Monday. We have a special guest, Hannah, from, she runs a garden for a restaurant that's by the Tyne River. Tony did an interview with her, or did something about the restaurant. It looks amazing, and I think she's quite a gardener. So I'll be in the chat, but I will not be on. So anyway, great to see you all. You take care. Bye-bye.